Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our mission today, well, it's more than just summarizing things. We're really going to perform a full strategic assessment of these seismic shifts happening in Genoa City.
That's right. We're diving deep into this confluence of corporate warfare, really devastating personal tragedy, and the formation of some incredibly dangerous new alliances.
Yeah, we're pulling apart sources that detail the immediate fallout from, a week just marked by loss and these escalating feuds. We're focusing specifically on the timeline leading up to and including that crucial week, August 4th through the 8th.
Mm-hmm. And this is really the moment where grief and corporate scheming just collide head on. It's intense.
The stakes are just enormous. You've got the Newman dynasty, right? Usually focused on their own internal squabbles.
Always.
And now they're forced to mobilize for, total war against this newly empowered, hostile, and frankly, deeply personal foe.
And at the same time, you have the unavoidable reality of 3 impending funerals casting this just heavy shadow over everything.
It forces these, global corporate titans to confront this overwhelming grief while they're also trying to execute billion-dollar defensive maneuvers. Wow.
It really is the ultimate test of character and strategy, too. This isn't just some business rivalry anymore. It's a family trying to protect itself from a genuine existential threat that's already cost lives.
So let's start where the gauntlet was officially thrown down. Okay, let's unpack this. It's really high-stakes negotiation. Our sources place this initial really tense confrontation on Wednesday, July 30th. And it's happening halfway across the world, in France.
Right. Kane Ashby, operating under that alias Dumas. He seeks out Victor Newman.
Yeah, and this meeting, it was never going to be about, making peace, was it?
Not a chance. Kane opens with what is, a massive understatement. He admits to some mistakes.
Some mistakes, given that this whole mess involves multiple deaths, Nick Newman's severe injury, widespread corporate chaos, that phrasing.
It's clearly an attempt to minimize his own responsibility.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe open some path towards a negotiation, trying to smooth it over.
But Victor is just not in a negotiating mood at all. He's still abroad, dealing with Nick's stabilization. And he goes straight for the strategic truth. He blames Kane directly for the deaths, for Nick's injury.
He's establishing that undeniable moral culpability right up front, before they even talk business.
It's a classic Victor.
Yeah.
What's fascinating, though, is Kane's defense, how he positions himself.
Yeah, he insists, I would have intervened if only I'd known the full extent of Carter's mental health issues. He tries to pivot the blame.
Under Carter's unpredictability, rather than his own, manipulation and strategic use of someone unstable.
Exactly. He's basically trying to claim ignorance over actual malice. It wasn't my fault Carter was unhinged.
But Victor just brushes that aside. Doesn't waste time on the moral excuses. He immediately shifts to leverage.
Right. Signaling that he's not just reacting to the chaos, his counterintelligence is fully up and running.
And that's when Victor reveals he knows everything about Kane's recent, huge Genoa City real estate purchases. That's a critical piece of intel.
It really is. And it's not just passive knowledge like, oh, I heard something. Victor is showing Kane, point blank, I know your exact tactical moves. I know where you've put your money, where you plan to set up shop.
It forces Kane to realize that any hope he had of, sneaking back into Genoa City and quietly consolidating his position, it's gone. Victor's already tracked his entire physical footprint.
And that seems to be the breaking point in the conversation. Kane realizes he can't bluff his way out.
So instead of retreating, he actually doubles down.
He does. He promises Victor, basically, if you insist on war instead of, accepting whatever peace offering he thought he was making, Kane says, I will make it happen.
That's a bold, explicit declaration of war right there.
Yeah.
It shows Kane is committed to destroying the Newmans, not backing down.
And Victor's final warning, it's chilling, because it highlights the deeper lethal consequences of Kane's actions.
He accuses Kane of sending Carter specifically to kill Damian Kane.
Right. Categorizing it as premeditated strategic elimination, not just, tragic collateral damage from Carter going off the rails.
Then he warns Kane, basically, stay away from the Newmans when you get back to Genoa City. Vows to be his worst enemy.
This isn't just corporate hostility anymore. It feels like a personal, almost mortal threat.
And that threat feels absolutely concrete when you look at Kane's new real estate empire. He didn't just buy random assets. He bought power centers.
He secured the GCAC, the Genoa City Athletic Club, and the sources mention other properties, too.
The GCAC acquisition. That's the single most strategic and, frankly, aggressive move Kane could possibly make.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just real estate. It's the social, political, even the corporate nerve center of Genoa City. It's where the deals get cut, where the elite socialize.
Where they let their guard down sometime.
Exactly. By controlling the GCAC, Kane establishes a physical headquarters right in the heart of his enemy's territory. Smack dab in the middle of everything.
It guarantees maximum disruption, both psychological and physical. It turns his hostile takeover into, like, a tactical occupation.
Right. Victor warned him to stay away, but by planting his flag at the GSEC, Kane is ensuring their paths will cross daily. It guarantees immediate, intense friction.
So with war declared globally, let's look at the response back in Genoa City, which required a truly unbelievable alliance. Talking Victoria and Adam Newman working together.
A partnership that just speaks volumes about the level of threat Kane represents, doesn't it?
Totally. The sources are really clear. Victoria knew full well that this Dumas guy was Kane before she went to Adam.
So this wasn't some reactive panic move. It was a calculated strategic choice. She decided she needed Adam's particular brand of ruthless genius in the defensive lineup.
And their strategy, it sounds pretty intricate. They understand Kane's last move was real estate.
Right.
So now they need to figure out his next move. Adam's apparently using a realtor to look for patterns in Kane's purchases.
Trying to figure out an end run is the phrase used. They want to either legally undermine his current holdings, maybe find a loophole,
or beat him to the punch on whatever he plans to grab next.
Yeah.
Anticipate and block.
But this partnership is just loaded with baggage, isn't it? Victoria is, understandably, very wary.
Oh, yeah. The sources remind us decades of betrayal, corporate sabotage, intense rivalry between them.
So is necessity really enough for her to trust Adam? He's the supreme chess player, after all. She risks leaving herself vulnerable, right, to some internal power play once the external threat, Kane, is neutralized.
That's a huge risk. But Adam seems to anticipate this, and he meets it with, well, surprising maturity.
He offers a pretty significant concession to solidify the alliance, tells Victoria she can call the shots.
And the sources say this gesture actually works. It gives Victoria the control she needs to mitigate those inherent trust issues.
She understands Adam's strategic mind is essential right now, but her being able to dictate the terms, that's vital for keeping the family somewhat cohesive through this.
And their shared goal is visceral. Victoria literally says she wants to make things rough for Kane the second he sets foot back in town. No ambiguity there.
None at all. And this defensive posture, it accelerates really fast. Just one day later, Thursday, July 31st, Victor learns Nick is stable.
And announces their immediate return. The family reunites in Genoa City, and the first order of business is circling the wagons.
And it's more than just Newman Enterprises this time. The sources specifically highlight they're consolidating Newman Enterprises, Chancellor, and Newman Media.
That consolidation is key, isn't it? Newman Media, controlled by the family. That's their weapon for public influence, for character assassination, necessary if they need to dismantle Kane's reputation.
Definitely. And linking Chancellor to the defense, that strongly suggests they know Billy Abbott is involved. Protecting Chancellor Industries becomes critical to prevent Kane from getting access to that power base through Billy.
Right. And speaking of Billy, Victor gives Adam a crucial piece of intelligence confirming just how big the opposition is.
Victor warns Adam that Kane is conspiring directly with Billy Abbott.
So this upgrades the conflict. It's not just a feud with one outsider anymore. It's a major war brewing between the entire Newman dynasty and this dangerous alliance that spans multiple powerful families, including the Abbotts through Billy.
Which brings us back to Adam's transformation, which seems instrumental to the family's ability to even unite like this.
Yeah, Victoria actually takes a moment, even in the middle of all this mobilization, to credit his positive changes.
And the sources detail this kind of personal chain of credit. Adam credits Chelsea,
who in turn credits their son, Connor Newman.
That's a really fundamental insight, I think. Adam's strategic brilliance is only helpful if it's predictable, if it's loyal to the family cause right now.
And his newfound stability, the thing allowing Victoria to trust him, even reluctantly. It's apparently rooted not in corporate ambition, but in his commitment to his personal life, to being a father.
So the strength of the Newman defense really depends entirely on Adam maintaining that stable, father-focused identity. If he reverts to old patterns,
the whole alliance just collapses.
It's so easy to get lost in the corporate chess moves.
Yeah.
But we have to remember the underlying fuel for all this conflict is just immense tragedy. The sources confirm the city is preparing for 3 funerals, all interconnected by this Kane Carter saga.
We really need to examine the specific emotional weight of each loss. Let's start with Cole Howard. His death sort of triggered the final chaotic dominoes falling.
Mm-hmm. The sources detail a really profoundly emotional exchange between Chelsea Lawson Newman and Claire Grace Newman, Cole's daughter.
Claire is deep in that specific heartbreaking kind of grief. Her biggest fear is forgetting her father's face, his voice.
And she's tormented by the regret. All the time she missed out on knowing him as a father. It's complicated grief, mourning a relationship that barely even got started.
And Chelsea's role here is just vital. She steps up, kind of becoming the keeper of his memory for Claire.
Offering reassurance, saying Claire will never forget Cole's love for her. Chelsea is basically tasked with building the foundation of Cole's legacy for Claire through memory and love.
And the sources do imply this funeral will probably be first, since Victoria and Claire were waiting for the family to return to hold the service.
Then we have to confront the just brutal murder of Damian Kane. The sources lay out how that news was delivered to his mother, Amy Lewis, by Nate Hastings.
Yeah, it says Nate apparently ruins Amy's day by delivering the news, describes her reaction as absolutely horrified, just devastating.
And Nate's explanation of the motive, it's cold but direct. Carter killed Damian specifically to clear the path for Kane to pursue Lily Winters.
And then Carter, because he was so unhinged, killed himself.
So it places Damian's strategic execution squarely at that intersection of Kane's obsession with Lily and Carter's terrible instability.
And Amy Lewis's reaction. Predictable, maybe, but just devastating. Immediate crushing guilt.
She blames herself for bringing Damian to Genoa City in the first place.
Nate tries to comfort her, assures her it's not her fault. He tries to rationalize it, pointing out Damian was already working for Kane.
Right, suggesting that maybe his eventual demise, given Carter's instability, was almost unavoidable once he entered Kane's orbit. A dangerous game.
This tragedy, though, it has huge long-term implications for the city's social dynamics. Nate lost his new brother, Amy lost her son, all because of Kane's manipulations.
And the sources are clear. Nate is expected to confront Kane directly about Damian's murder. Amy is also likely to have some very harsh words.
And Kane deciding to move his headquarters into the GCAC.
It means he won't be some easily avoided ghost. He'll be a constant physical reminder of their trauma. It's going to impede any kind of healing for them. He'll be right there.
Right there. Finally, the city also has to grease Chance Chancellor. His death adds this layer of official civic mourning.
And the sources highlight a really painful logistical thing that needs to happen. Billy Abbott needs to call Jill Abbott, Chance's mother, with the hard news.
And here we see the depth of Billy's own family strain. He feels Jill doesn't want to hear from him. Their relationship is so complicated, often so fraught.
He's avoiding this necessary, incredibly painful duty because of his personal history with her.
Which is where Lily Winters apparently steps in. The speculation is strong that Lily, is Chance's former wife and someone Jill respects much more.
She'll be the one to make that difficult call. Her involvement ensures the news is delivered with the proper respect, the proper weight.
It bypasses Billy's history of, let's be honest, failure and irresponsibility that really plagues his relationship with his mother.
Yeah. And the gravity of losing Chance, a former police detective, Chancellor Eyre, it just underscores how pervasive the grief is across the whole city.
So the war's mobilizing, the funerals are looming, and the pressure is already fracturing the Abbott family. Which brings us to Section 4, these dangerous alliances forming around Kane. And it centers immediately on that strained bond between Jack and Billy.
Right. On Friday, August 1st, we see this key moment where Jack apparently does something for Billy that really costs him.
This sacrifice, whatever it was, likely financial or corporate, it comes right after Billy had promised Jack things would fundamentally change between them when they got back home.
Billy made a promise of maturity, stability, and Jack invested his trust, his time, maybe significant capital based on that promise.
And it just begs the question, doesn't it? How much more rope does Jack have left to give Billy?
The sources reflect on Jack's immense past generosity. It really suggests an end to his patience might finally be here.
Are they about to actually part ways entirely? Will Jack just fund Billy's company for a bit and then completely wash his hands of him?
Leaving Billy to face the Newman onslaught alone, it's a real possibility. Jack has given him so many chances.
And this potential parting couldn't come at a worse time for Billy because he's already made his choice in this conflict.
He has. He's allied himself closely with Kane, specifically choosing sides against the Newmans.
Which confirms Victor's intel and really formalizes those battle lines. Billy probably sees this as a strategic move against Victor.
But everyone else, likely including Jack, probably sees it as pure self-destruction.
And he's not operating alone in this. He's plotting with Phyllis Summers on the whole Chancellor thing.
Right, and she is siding explicitly with Kane against basically the entire power structure of Genoa City, this Billy Kane-Phyllis axis. It's just a volatile mix: corporate desperation, vengeance, instability.
It's incredibly high risk. Even Phyllis's own son, Daniel Romalotti, is apparently worried sick about it.
He believes Phyllis is gambling wildly, unwisely with her future. Daniel recognizes that opposing Victor Newman and the consolidated Newman dynasty, alongside a known corporate rogue like Kane, it's just a recipe for complete professional ruin.
And this leads directly to the most obvious collateral damage target, Billy himself.
Our sources really caution that Billy might just get swept away as collateral damage in this Newman war.
Makes sense. If Victor's priority is dismantling Kane, and Billy is Kane's closest ally and operating partner, Victor will spare no expense, no effort in eliminating both threats at the same time.
Which immediately triggers a loyalty check for Chelsea Lawson, doesn't it? Her stability is tied to Adam,
Who's allied with Victoria against Kane and Billy.
So the sources question, will Chelsea keep defending Billy? Keep trying to curb Victor's impulse to trash him using Newman media? Especially now that Billy has explicitly chosen sides against the Newman family.
Her relationship with Adam is built on the stability Connor provides. If she defends Billy, a man actively working to destabilize the Newman family, she risks undermining the very foundation of her life with Adam.
It's another layer of personal conflict woven into the Newman war strategy. Just messy.
Shifting focus just slightly. We also see significant concern coming from Diane Jenkins and Jack Abbott about their son, Kyle Abbott.
Diane is apparently panicked, worried about the long-term fallout from France, Victor's plotting, and notably the influence of Audra Charles.
Audra, a previous distraction and destabilizing force for Kyle.
And Kyle's focus seems completely derailed right now. He apparently wanted to return to Genoa City specifically to burn down Audra for whatever happened over there.
But he missed his step-cousin Claire's father dying. He wasn't there for his family during that crisis.
So he's caught between this desire for personal revenge against Audra and the really urgent need for familial duty supporting Claire.
The central conflict for Kyle now is where does he put his energy? Will he still pursue Audra, which would distract him further and confirm Diane's fears?
Or will he fully shift his focus to supporting Claire and dealing with this wave of family grief? His decision is going to reveal a lot about his priorities amidst all this chaos.
And speaking of family dynamics and potential obstacles, we should briefly note the challenges potentially facing Nick and Sharon Newman's fresh reunion.
Yeah, the sources anticipate roadblocks, specifically suggesting a significant challenge could come from Phyllis Summers.
Given Phyllis's history of disrupting Nick and Sharon's peace, and her current position as an antagonist, aligned with the enemies of the Newmans, Billy and Kane.
She's perfectly positioned to interfere. Her involvement in this high-stakes plotting means she'll be highly visible, highly volatile, and probably completely unrestrained in targeting the family she feels wronged her.
And then just in a small, quiet sidebar amidst all this high-octane drama, we get a note about Daniel Romalotti.
Right. Spending some necessary downtime helping Tessa Porter, hanging out with Tessa in her area in the park.
It's just this moment of grounding, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shows a stark contrast between the city's power brokers plotting destruction.
And the quiet, normal domestic life Daniel seems to long for, especially as he watches his own mother, Phyllis, gamble absolutely everything away. It's like a brief oasis of normal life before the storm really hits.
Okay, now we move into the week of August 4th through the 8th. This is the week where the city tries to process profound loss.
While the declared war moves from those tactical maneuvers we discussed into physical day-to-day engagement, because Kane is back.
And this week is just dominated by funeral planning. We're expecting 3 services.
Right. The sources assume Cole Howard's funeral will likely be first, as Victoria and Claire were waiting for the family's return from France. Planning 3 major services at the same time, that adds immense stress to families already deep in grief.
The sources also raise a really interesting point about visibility. There's speculation that maybe Cole's and Damien Kane's funerals might be handled, off-screen.
Perhaps because of the sensitive nature of their involvement in all the recent chaos, or maybe just to limit the Newmans' public exposure during such a vulnerable time.
However, there's a very clear, strong sentiment about the 3rd service. Chancellor's funeral better not be off-screen.
Yeah. Given Chance is standing, a chancellor, a former detective, a real pillar of the community, His service feels necessary for the entire city to grieve together.
And it serves as a crucial moment for both the Abbott and Chancellor families to try and show some kind of unity, however fragile.
And as the city grieves, the enemy, Cain, is establishing his command center. In this spectacular act of, well, hostile occupation.
He'll likely set up housekeeping, an office right there at the GSAC, unless maybe they build a whole new grand set just for him.
It's a hostile HQ, and the location is absolutely deliberate. It ensures Cain isn't operating from the shadows, from the periphery.
We expect his minions, Holden Novak and Amanda Sinclair, to be housed right there at the GSAC too, conspiring with him.
And this central location makes it incredibly convenient for Cain to plot, and for his key ally, Billy Abbott, to just drop by frequently for war strategy sessions.
Effectively turning a major social hub into Cain's personal war room.
Meanwhile, the Newmans are already working to neutralize Cain's operational secrecy. Chelsea and Adam plan to immediately inform the rest of the family that Holden Novak is Cain's local minion.
They're stripping away the secrecy of this structure, making sure anyone dealing with Holden knows exactly whose agenda he's serving. No plausible deniability.
It's important, though, to pause and maybe acknowledge Holden's complexity here. Despite his loyalty to Cain, Holden is expected to have a sad, genuinely human reaction to Damien's death, even though they had differences recently.
Right. It suggests Cain's team isn't just made up of purely ruthless, unfeeling operatives. It complicates the lines between business and personal morality, doesn't it?
It does. Now, let's talk about the strategic headache caused by this whole GCAC dilemma. Cain owning this central institution. It creates a real crisis for the established families.
Do the Abbotts and Newmans just avoid the GCAC entirely, effectively conceding that vital social ground?
Or do they actually go there more often? To keep a close eye on Cain, essentially spying on his command center, but risking daily, ugly confrontations.
It's a tough call. And this dilemma is profoundly personal for Lily Winters and Devin Hamilton.
Oh, absolutely. Cain buying the GCAC specifically bothers them because their father, Neil Winters' Jazz Lounge, is located right there.
And as the sources note, they can't just pack up and move the lounge. It's part of the building's fabric, part of Neil's legacy.
So Cain has essentially occupied a space that's sacred to the Winters family legacy. It adds this deeply emotional insult on top of the corporate injury. They now have to contend with the man who ruined their lives holding court right over their father's legacy every single day.
And speaking of Lily, the personal nature of Cain's return is just undeniable for her. She will try to avoid Cain at every possible turn, given the trauma he represents.
Of course. But Cain is not going to be deterred. The sources confirm he'll likely be, and this is the word used, stalking her at every turn.
He apparently confirmed to Amanda already that he has absolutely not given up on his obsession with winning Lily back.
So this turns the corporate war into a daily gauntlet of personal discomfort, maybe even fear for Lily, within her own city, in a place she should feel safe.
Which means the confrontation we discussed earlier between Nate and Amy and Cain is basically guaranteed to happen.
Yeah.
And probably right there, at the GCAC.
Given Cain is living and plotting there, Nate and Amy will inevitably confront him about Damien's murder, making Cain's headquarters a daily stage for highly charged emotional conflict and public accusation.
Finally, we have to consider the ripple effect of Billy's alignment on his current relationship with Sally Spectra.
Right. We're keenly interested in Sally Spectra's reaction to Billy's new strategy, working with Phyllis on the Chancellor stuff and aligning with Cain on this deeply risky revenge stuff.
Sally's survival instinct, her whole strategy, has always been built on forward momentum, on finding stability. Billy's choices now, aligning himself with a public enemy who is Victor Noman's #1 target.
It places Billy directly in the path of corporate destruction, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If Victor successfully executes his plan to dismantle Cain, and Billy is standing right next to him when the walls come down.
Sally has to recognize that Billy becoming collateral damage isn't just possible, it's probable, and likely severe.
So this forces her to choose, support Billy or ensure her own professional safety. Especially given her own fraught history with the Newmans. It's a huge dilemma for her.
So what does this all really mean as we head into this critical week? The complexity of these alliances, combined with the just crushing weight of 3 pending funerals, it's brought Genoa City to a tipping point.
Yeah, if we pull back and look at the bigger picture, the Newman defense, powered by that reluctant but effective Victoria-Adam alliance, it looks formidable.
It does. However, the opposition, built on that volatile Cain-Billy-Phyllis axis, is strategically positioned to cause maximum disruption, especially by controlling the GCAC.
And underneath all the corporate plotting, The city is just submerged in grief. With all these personal traumas, Amy, Nate, Claire, Lily intersecting with every single strategic move.
Our sources clearly show the Newmans are laser-focused on plotting Kane's downfall. But the sheer complexity of his entanglement Billy's ownership stakes at Chancellor, the physical occupation of the GCAC.
It suggests that winning this war might require sacrificing far more than just assets. It could mean sacrificing the stability of the entire Abbott family dynamic for good.
Which raises, I think, the single most important question looming over this whole conflict. Will the Newman-Abbott divide, made so much worse by Billy's latest high-risk alliances with Kane and Phyllis, will it create a permanent, irreparable rift?
Threatening the unity, the very structure of both dynasties forever, even if Kane is eventually neutralized.
That high cost paid in broken familial bonds, that feels like the true consequence Genoa City is facing this week.
It's a question that definitely demands close attention as this war moves into its most personal and potentially its most tragic phase. Thank you for joining us for this essential briefing.